Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Raw Dogs, a bodyslam.net podcast. I am your host, Nick, the Natural Perkins. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, handsome Corey Hayes. Corey, what do you think of that nickname? That's a pretty cool nickname, right?
I'll take it. I'll take whatever you got to throw at me.
Well, it is nice to be back with you here on the second edition of WWE Raw on Netflix. And we were just talking about how we both think that this show was kind of quite a bit better than last week.
Yeah. 100%. This week felt like an actual wrestling show compared to last week. So I truly enjoyed tonight a lot more than I enjoyed last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll get into all of it, all the matches, all the angles. But before we do, kind of tell me, Corey, how's your week been this last week?
It's been okay. Week's been okay. The weather's been nice though, so that's good. The weather's been cooler, and then we heated up again today, and it's going back to cool weather. So I'll take it.
I live in Wyoming, and so right around this time is when the temperatures are terribly cold.
Yeah, it has been hot always down here. We're down here in Florida. It's hot, so I welcome the chilly weather whenever I get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's dig in and go deep. This is Raw Dogs. I'm gonna keep doing those puns. I don't know if they're actually funny or not, but so this week, it began with actually a recap of last week's show, which it was a good way to start, kind of showed how big of a deal last week's episode was, kind of showed us what the main stories of this week's show are. And then the crowd, as soon as we cut to the live crowd, they were immediately chanting CM Punk before he even kind of stepped into frame, right? He showed up in his vehicle. Did you know what kind of vehicle that was?
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, me neither. It was something cool. It was something big and black and cool. But CM Punk got out of his car and they did that long frame entrance for CM Punk.
I love those.
That they do sometimes. Yeah, it's a new way to do it, and it's a really cool way. It kind of gives us a
bring them in from the outside, bring them straight into the arena, straight to the ring. I love that. I love that. Here.
It was a very cool thing, and CM Punk was given a hero's welcome. What interests me is that Punk was kind of the face of the last segment last week, and he was the first segment this week. Is CM Punk kind of the face of WWE Raw on Netflix right now, do you think?
He's one of them. He's definitely one of them. He's a big name. They love him. So I'd say he's one of them. I won't say he's the face, but I'll say he's definitely one of the faces of Raw on Netflix.
Well, his scruffy face started off Raw, and he talked about, first of all, and this was super cool of CM Punk, he shouted out all the firefighters that are fighting those fires in California right now. Very cool thing to do. They got big applause, as they should, because they're saving lives. They're saving California as much as they can right now. So that was very cool of Mr. Punk.
Yeah, the first thing that he said out of his mouth is that he had to go and acknowledge everybody out there trying to put out the fires, which I really like that. Before getting into the story stuff, he got into the real life stuff. So I like that.
Yeah, it was very cool. But then he wasted no time in getting to the root of why he was there. And after kind of teasing a little bit of John Cena interactions, he announced himself officially to be a part of the Royal Rumble. And I think we expected it. I think WWE themselves announced it last week. But now it's official. CM Punk is once again entering the Royal Rumble, and he's joining quite a few incredibly huge faces in this year's Royal Rumble. What do you think about Punk and everybody else in the Rumble right now?
Yeah, the Rumble field that's already been announced is absolutely stacked. So the 2025 Royal Rumble can be one of the greatest ever. We'll see who else seems to appear in that match.
Yeah, I mean, we've got as of now, if I'm remembering correctly, we've got John Cena, Roman Reigns, CM Punk. In this segment alone, we had Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre come out. this could be huge. And the best thing is,
There
I
it
don't know
is.
who could win.
So yeah, we've already got quite a few. I think 6 or 7 already declared their intentions to go into the Rumble. So like you said, it's going to be unpredictable. There's a lot of big names in it right now, and you never know who's going to show up. So
That's true. There's some rumors maybe X-Pac might be making a little appearance. Ric Flair teased that maybe he could be in the Rumble, which I don't think anybody wants to see.
no, thank you. No, thank you. Stay away.
That's a big pass
No,
on
thank
Ric
you.
Flair. But back to the Punk segment, he did announce himself for the Royal Rumble, and then, wouldn't you know it, Seth Rollins came out once again. And one of the funniest running bits of the CM Punk Rollins feud is every time Rollins music hits, Punk just just reacts like it's the worst thing that's ever happened to him. It's super funny. Rollins came out wearing a sparkly suit. He had a bit of a shiner. Did you notice that?
He took a GTS last week in his eye. He definitely had a nice little black eye from it.
Yeah, he was looking rough, but he still had his wits about him, and he said that he's lost before. He's not ashamed of it, but he called the loss to Punk last week the most embarrassing, the most disappointing loss of his career. And Seth Rollins said the only way to make that okay, the only way to get that win back is to destroy CM Punk's Royal Rumble dream. So Rollins is going in. He didn't even say he was going in to win the thing. He just wants to ruin it for CM Punk.
Yeah, he said, my goal in the Royal Rumble is to basically get back at you. I couldn't pin you, but I can end your WrestleMania dream, so I'm going to throw you over the top rope.
Do you think this is kind of a retread of the Drew McIntyre story?
A little bit, I would say. The only difference between it now is I think that Punk and Rollins are going to go their separate ways, whereas Drew and Punk were intertwined for about 5 or 6 months when Punk was still working to get cleared, and then he screwed him out of the match, and then they had their first match, then they had their second match, and then they had their final match inside of Hell in a Cell. I think that this is going to go a little, like I said last week, I think this is going to go a little bit of a separate direction where Seth is not going to let it go, but eventually down the road sometime they're going to revisit it.
Yeah, sure. And they should, there's still a lot of meat left on the bone of CM Punk versus Seth Rollins.
Absolutely.
But I'm okay with them kind of going their separate ways after the Royal Rumble. But as Punk and Seth Rollins were doing their little tete-a-tete, who else but Drew McIntyre also entered the frame. And when McIntyre kind of entered the situation, I couldn't help but think, this would be a pretty great triple threat match. They could put this triple threat on an episode of Raw or Saturday night's main event, and they could sell the house. What do you think?
I think a triple threat would be nice between them, but I feel like they're going to preserve Punk for the big events more than just throwing him into a match, even though it makes sense. I feel like him being, 46 now? Punk being up there in age, I feel like they're preserving his time in the ring.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, Drew McIntyre wasted no time. He announced that he was also going to be in the Royal Rumble. And like we talked about, this is maybe one of the most star-studded Royal Rumbles we've had in years. It's also one of the most predictable. And that gets me excited. Do you have plans for a Royal Rumble party yet, Corey?
I'll be watching. I might be streaming on Twitch for it. I'll be watching 100% though.
All right, so these guys can watch the Royal Rumble with you if they want.
Potentially, yeah, potentially.
That's fun. So following that, and I feel like this first hour of Raw really kind of really good energy, really good focus, really good. So they followed up the segment with Chad Gable taking on this mysterious luchador that nobody knew who it was going to be.
No.
WWE definitely didn't tease it. They definitely didn't put out merch before Raw even started.
Yeah, there definitely wasn't a merchandise on the front page of WWE shop this morning for this mystery luchador.
So it was a surprise to everybody when Penta made his debut, shocking the world, shocking the audience. And boy, oh boy, he So a big case has been made about his theme music. What is it going to be? Did you like his choice of theme
I
music?
liked his theme music. I liked his theme music. It's different. It's different than what we're used to from him, and it honestly to me didn't feel like a Def Rebel theme song. Felt a
Yeah,
little bit different. It felt like a different style for him, and with the fire and everything going in the background and all the smoke and everything, it fits him. It
yeah.
fits the Penta persona, whatever type of persona they're trying to make Penta. It fits him.
He was absolutely put out there like the star that he was. He looked like $1,000,000. Did Chad Gable? Maybe I just skipped Chad Gable's entrances. Has he had his theme music for a while, or is this a new thing?
The American Made theme, yeah, where the fans can chant "You suck" at him, like
Yeah,
a Kurt Angle type of thing. Yeah, he's had
that
it for
was
a little
deliberate,
while with
wasn't it?
American Made.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome. He's really embracing his inner Kurt Angle,
yeah.
and
They did with his music with American Made. What they did was the fans were already chanting "You suck" at him a long while ago. So they just said, "Screw it, we're gonna put it in there to a cadence that sounds like you suck,"
sure.
and the fans do it every week. So
That's awesome. Well, hey, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. So let's get into the match, man. Chad Gable versus Penta. We saw a really good back and forth. We saw some mat wrestling. We saw some luchador. We saw
a whole lot of
incredible,
everything. We
whole
saw
lot of
everything.
everything. But like, did this match live up to the expectations that you've had this last week?
Waiting for him, yeah. From watching Penta before, I wasn't really sure what his move set was going to be and how they were going to utilize him. But it looks like he's pretty much using every single move that he's used before.
Yeah,
He was able to break arms. He was able to hit a destroyer. He was able to hit a driver. That was his finishing move. It was good. Chad Gable brought it to him too. Penta was selling the leg a little bit.
he
We
was.
got some high flying moves. Penta over the top rope, and it was good. There was one part in the match where Penta obviously was a little slow trying to do a drop kick off the bottom rope, but
Sure.
uh, or leg drop. My bad, leg
Right.
drop off the bottom rope, but. Other than that, no, it was great. I gave it 4.5 stars on my rating system. I gave it a 4.5 star, and the way that they're presenting him, perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
He's a star. He is a star.
Who do you think his first full blown feud will be with?
That's hard to determine right now because apparently the transfer window is still open. So I
Sure.
don't know. The transfer window was supposed to be over on the debut episode last week, but I guess they're still trying to figure out these rosters. So I don't know. I don't know, especially because he cut a promo after the match, like a baby face. So I
Sure.
guess they're presenting him as a baby face right now.
Oh yeah.
He can
Oh
work. He can work face and heel, so it doesn't really matter. But it's going to be hard to tell until these rosters actually get solidified to see what direction we're moving in. But they're off to a great start with him. They're
yeah.
100%.
They are. And one of the interesting things about the match was that Michael Cole, he mentioned where Penta has been. He mentioned TNA, AAA, and Lucha Underground, which is, I think, the first time we've ever heard Lucha Underground mentioned on WWE TV. What do you think of that? Are we in a new era of mentioning the competition?
I love when they mention outside companies where they've wrestled previously. During the old guys regime, you would never hear it. You never really heard it. Michael Cole was being fed everything in his ear, but now Michael Cole's got the freedom to do whatever he wants, so he can talk about whatever he wants on commentary. And every time that he mentions a different company where somebody's worked previously or championships they've held somewhere previously, I pop. I
Yeah,
pop for it because
Angel gets his wings.
yeah, it's different. So I pop for it every time. I like it.
Did you watch Lucha Underground when it was airing?
I did. I loved Lucha Underground. It was a different type of wrestling inside of there in Los Angeles. I think they filmed it in
Yeah, the
was in Los
temple.
Angeles in the temple, and it was so good the way that they presented it. I wish they never got rid of it. I wish
Yeah,
they never got rid of it honestly because they had a great roster. There was so many good wrestlers on that
a lot of
roster, and
stars have
Penta
come out of
Penta
that.
was one of them. Chelsea Green was on there. EO was on there. You had
Swerve
Swerve
Strickland.
Strickland.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a lot of great wrestlers on there. So Lucha Underground was ahead of its time.
Yeah, it absolutely was. I know for a while it was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is or if they lost the rights to it.
It's
Did that?
off of there. Yeah.
Ah,
That's
bummer.
awesome.
There's a time, and that was a fun weekend of watching Lucha Underground.
Yeah, you sit there and you binge watch it.
Yeah, you have to, because it was very very storyline oriented, and it wasn't just wrestling storylines. It felt like an actual like kind of like Spanish soap opera a little bit.
Yeah, it was different. Like I said, they're trying to incorporate that a little bit into MLW now, but it's not the same. It's not the
Yeah.
same. Trying to use some of the same people and do it down there, it's not the same. Nothing will ever be the same like Lucha Underground.
Yeah, it was a once in a lifetime thing. It was cool, but as we mentioned, Penta was kind of one of the stars of Lucha Underground, and he was a star of this episode of Raw. He ended up getting the win over Chad Gable with the Penta Driver, which was super cool to see. Like you mentioned, he also did the Mexican Destroyer. He did that over the top rope senton that was picture perfect. It was a heck of a match. So I'm with you. I'm like 4.5 stars. It was absolutely incredible. And it's really cool to see after years and years of WWE trying to find the next Rey Mysterio, the answer was to not find the next Rey Mysterio.
And just find the first Penta.
Penta.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they did.
That's what a lot of people have been saying. Like, why do you want to compare everybody to Rey Mysterio? Not every luchador has to be compared to Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio obviously is the greatest luchador of all time, but you don't have to compare them. They're all great in their own rights. You have Penta now. You still have Dragon Lee on the roster. Dragon Lee is incredible. You have Penta's brother, Rey Fenix, who's stuck in a conundrum. and he's not coming to WWE until the conundrum's over, I guess. But yeah, there's great luchadors all around. You got Hechicero, you got all kinds around the world that are putting on shows weekly. You don't have to compare them to Rey Mysterio. You can just say that they're one of a kind and they're their own person. So
yeah, well, Penta is absolutely one of a kind. I can't wait to see. I'm glad, like, it's cool to see him as a good guy now, but I can't wait until he's a bad guy and he's just this evil demon.
It's gonna be so fun when we get Dark Penta.
Yeah. Do you think we'll actually get Dark Penta? Will they call him that?
I don't think they're gonna call him Dark Penta, but we'll get a variation of it, and it's gonna be solid. If the way they booked him tonight in that presentation is any indication, they have high expectations for Penta. Even at 39 years old, Penta is Penta, and this should have been done a long time ago. Triple H has wanted Penta for the last decade.
Sure.
But the old guy didn't. The old guy did not. The old guy did not want him. So Penta did his own thing. But like Michael Cole said on commentary, Penta said, "This is a dream come true. This is what I've wanted my entire life." So now we got it.
So we cut to when he made his debut and after he won the match, we cut to a little girl who was crying in the audience. Was that his daughter or was that just some really kind of empowered?
That was his baby girl.
Okay, so
that was his whole entire family was ringside, and
yeah, that's what
they got to experience his first time in WWE, and as you could tell, it took a toll on his daughter. She was so happy for her dad, and
yeah,
knowing that she's wanted to follow in the footsteps of her father too. That's a big moment right there. Big moment.
Yeah. She saw her future. It was. I tweeted this, like, the match was good, his promo was good, but seeing the real emotion on his face and his family's face when he won, that's what won me over. That made me a Penta fan for life.
Oh yeah, he was showing a lot of emotion. People were worried, oh, can he speak English, this and that? Of course he can. He can cut a perfect English promo. And you saw that tonight. His words, he's perfectly fine. He can go English and Spanish. He can cut whatever. He started in English, went to Spanish, and came back to English to say what he wanted to say. And you could feel it. You could feel the emotion of how he felt, and you could feel the crowd going off of how he felt. And it's going to be a fun ride. It's going to be
the crowd actually popped when he started speaking Spanish. They were in San Jose, right?
So you got a lot of Spanish speakers in San Jose, correct?
Yeah, and to your point, when he started speaking Spanish, I'm just a dumb American, so I don't know, but you could still, maybe if you didn't even understand the language, you still felt what he was saying.
Yeah,
just the passion in his voice, the cadence. You knew it was special to him, and that was really cool to see. And like we said, WWE's already selling merchandise, already selling masks, which AEW never did, which is
I don't understand why.
yeah. Well, WWE is doing it now, and I would imagine it's gonna make a lot of money.
Oh, they've already made a shit ton of money. I've seen my entire Twitter feed, people buying his shirts and buying the mask already. So he's gonna be a top seller for a long, long time. And
Absolutely.
you talked about the Spanish part. Um, he basically said that this has been a long time coming. This is what happens when a Mexican is determined to succeed. So and he thanked his family.
Awesome. That's powerful stuff, man. That was great. And following that match, we cut right into a match between Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser. So really good. Kia in her comments said that it was paced pretty good tonight. I think it was, especially
Yeah,
in
the
that
pacing
first
was
hour.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Pacing was fantastic, Key. I enjoyed the pacing tonight.
So Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser once again. Another. It's cool that we went from like a lucha kind of aerial technical match into kind of a New Japan esque kind of hard hitting.
Hard hitting, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The
and that was a
banger
great
after
match too.
banger after banger type of thing. You had Braun Breaker sitting in the crowd ringside watching, scouting. Yeah, Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser have had a few good matches together, and tonight was no different.
But yeah, I could watch them wrestle. How long before we see Sheamus and Gunther feud again? Would you be into seeing that for the world title?
I think Sheamus's biggest goal right now is he wants that Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah,
So we saw the graphic on Raw tonight. He's going to be challenging Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship at Saturday night's main event on the 25th. So that's his number one goal right now. No matter what, he's going to keep fighting until he gets that Intercontinental Championship.
sure. Do you think he's going to take it from Braun at Saturday night's main event?
They're going to do a bigger moment for Sheamus. I don't think Saturday night's main event is it just yet.
All right, fair enough. What do you think of Braun Breaker as the Intercontinental Champion, but also just as a superstar himself? Do you like him?
We touched on it a little bit. I love Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker has the look. He's so quick in that ring. He gets it. He's got everything. So it's not going to be long before we see Braun Breaker elevated into the world title scene.
Yeah.
He's part of the big future that WWE is building right now.
The roster that WWE has right now, I mean, you and I was friends, or I was a fan during the Attitude Era. You came along right during the Ruthless Aggression Era. I would say this is the best the WWE roster has ever been.
I agree in the sense of wrestling and the type of wrestlers because you have every different style now across every brand, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. You're bringing in the athletes from college along with the independent wrestlers and the people who have been there for years. So you have a mixture of everything now. Whereas the Attitude Era, they had to use the characters to
Sure.
get themselves over more than the wrestling in that era. Sure, you had great wrestling sometimes, but the character work was more to get them over the top. You had Triple H and DX and The Rock and Stone Cold, The Undertaker, Kane, that whole type of thing. They were all. I'm not gonna say they're bad wrestlers because they're above average, all of them,
Sure.
but their character work is what worked in the Attitude Era. Whereas now, with all of this roster that they have right now in the company, character work and the in ring is what's going to get them over. If your character's not getting over, you can still get over with your in ring work nowadays.
Sure. Yeah. And the great thing about what Triple H is doing right now, and this was the formula for success during the Attitude Era, is every character has a story, right? Each segment matters. Each segment.
Yeah, no matter what.
Yeah, and that's what needs to happen. I think that's why the success is coming to WWE. Nice. Cero miedo, says J Kid. Speaking of the Intercontinental Championship and Sheamus challenging for it, I am a belt mark. I love belts. I've got right over here. I got my world, my big gold. I got
Big
my
gold.
winged eagle right over there. What do you think of the Intercontinental Championship right now? What
I
do
mean,
you think?
it's different. It's different than the other belts that they have, where they have the W all over them.
Yeah.
So it's different, but at the same time, I'd like a different design. I'd like a
Yeah,
different design. I want a rehaul of all the championships. They're all corporate championships with the big old W on them. I want a rehaul of pretty much all of them.
yeah, that's perfectly fair. Let us know in the comments if you like the Intercontinental title. Do you want to see the return of the Oval IC Championship or the old school IC Championship? Let us know in the comments. But following Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser, which Sheamus did win, it was announced that Seth Rollins is going to take on Drew McIntyre next week, and that's a WrestleMania rematch, which is sure to be a great match. Do you think we'll get something special out of Seth and Drew?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You may have the CM Punk looming in the background for it, but yeah, I think they'll put on. They had a great match at WrestleMania 40, so
They did.
I don't think it's going to be any different next week.
It was their match at WrestleMania 40 was kind of underrated. It got lost in the Cody Rhodes finishing his story and The Rock, but their actual match on night two was
It was a
something
good
special.
opener.
Yeah,
It was a good opener. Seth working the way that he worked with the injury that he had. It was a
yeah.
good opener. The whole story played out the way it played out. Drew McIntyre winning the title and then getting cashed in on by Damian Priest. It just worked, and I think that with Seth healthy now and Drew doing some of his best work in his career, that the match next week is going to be another good one.
Do you think Seth Rollins gets the credit he deserves as a superstar, as kind of one of the better wrestlers in the company?
I think Seth gets all the praise in the world, being presented as one of the top guys. He's done a lot in the company. Seth is not necessarily one of my favorites, but I think he's done a lot for them. He's a great wrestler, great professional wrestler. It's just he for some reason he doesn't click with me like he does some other people.
Sure. Why do you think that is?
I honestly don't know. I enjoy his wrestling. I enjoy the way that he can get good matches out of pretty much anybody. It's just I don't know if it's the character presentation or what. I just don't for some reason I can't really be a big time Seth Rollins fan like some people.
Do you wish he was kind of acting more serious, or is it the laugh that annoys you? Or
I won't say that. I enjoyed the Seth Rollins in the Thunderdome pandemic era. I
okay,
enjoyed that character that he had when he was feuding with the Mysterios and stuff, like the psychopath,
sure.
whatever you want to call him. He called himself something. But yeah, I feel like a heel Seth, kind of not the authority Seth, but like a heel Seth. I kind of enjoy that more than I enjoy the babyface trying to kiss up to the crowd, Seth Rollins.
Yeah, that's fair, Seth. I was a huge fan of Seth Rollins back in his Ring of Honor days when he was Tyler Black. I
Tyler
thought he had
Black.
like the coolest trunks and like the blonde streak in his hair and his move set. Like the man. So if he ever goes back to that, I would love that. Obviously, he wouldn't go back to being Tyler Black, but if he ever busted out the trunks, I'd be a fan.
I don't know if we'll see that ever again, but who knows? Who knows? You don't know anymore because they like to do a lot of callbacks to whatever they've done in the past and what's happened in WWE, WWF in the past. So anything can happen.
Sure, anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation, including, speaking of Seth Rollins, he and Sami Zayn came face to face backstage, and Seth Rollins kind of called Sami Zayn out on kind of putting Roman's career ahead of his own. Where do you think that's going to lead?
I know Drew still wants to get his hands on Roman, so maybe he's gonna end up getting his hands on Roman. I think Drew is trying to put into Seth's mind that, brother, you need to stop inserting yourself into stuff like this. It's Roman Reigns is here. He's the hypocrite. We need to go after Roman Reigns. Stop trying to focus on CM Punk and stuff like that.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, it was announced after that the Wyatt Six were moved to SmackDown. What do you think of that move, and who do you think they're going to feud with first?
I didn't expect it, but as I watched SmackDown the last week, SmackDown was not very good.
Right.
Yeah,
3 hours is a long time
I
for
mean, I
that
enjoyed
show.
3-hour episodes. There wasn't much progression, and there was more focus on tag team than anything. So I wasn't really a fan with the Wyatt Six moving over. Now I think there's much more that they can do on SmackDown. I'll be honest. I feel like um, Dominic. We saw Dominic speaking to Nick Aldis a few weeks back on SmackDown. I think ultimately Judgment Day might move to SmackDown as well, because they're gonna need some star power over there. Because Raw is bringing over all the big guns from SmackDown. So
Sure. Yeah. That would be cool. So do you think Judgment Day and the Wyatt Six over on SmackDown?
I think that's the end goal. I think that's the end goal, and that's what's gonna end up breaking up the Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
um, because of everything the Judgment Day has done, everybody they've turned their backs on. So I think that's going to be the ultimate end goal. But we'll see. We'll see how stories play out, especially right now since we're 3 months out from WrestleMania. We got a wild ride coming in the next 3 months.
Yeah, we do. It's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. This is always my favorite time of the year to be a wrestling fan. Just kind of that January to April season. It's going to be exciting. We've got some big stuff coming up. And speaking of big stuff, Gunther came out and addressed the crowd. And he was back. He was kind of teasing that Gunther was maybe going to switch over to the babyface side of things, but he was right back to being that cocky
Yeah,
heel,
he'll
which is
he'll never go babyface for a while. The cocky I'm better than everybody, nobody's on my level works for him.
yeah, it's a good role for him. It's kind of natural. But speaking of baby faces, kind of the baby face of Raw lately is Jey Uso, and he came out and challenged Gunther for Saturday night's main event for the world title. And his entrance, man, again, like it just Jey Uso is a star, and I was late to the dance. I didn't know if he could do it. Jey Uso has proven me wrong. That cat is a star.
Oh, he had a great promo tonight. He put a lot of passion into his promo, um, more than I've seen recently from him. He
Yeah.
wants you to buy in that he truly is a main event player here with his nickname Main Event Jey Uso. So I think that was great. That segment was fantastic to get to where we're gonna be now with Saturday night's main event being Gunther versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship.
And this is the third time that the two have met. Gunther's beaten Jay twice. And tonight he said that Jay's pretty good. He's a good tag team wrestler, but he doesn't have what it takes to beat him for the world title. And that kind of makes me think that Jay might beat him, right? Because you don't want to bury him too much and then actually beat him. What do you think?
That's what sent him over the edge. That's what sent Jey Uso over the edge tonight, was talking about being just a good tag team wrestler. He said everything you said was right, Gunther, but I'm gonna whoop your ass and I'm gonna take your title at Saturday night's main event. Do I think he's gonna win? No. Do I think they're gonna have a good match? I do.
All right. You don't think Jay's going to win? I don't know, man. It seems like it would be a lot to kind of bury Jay and say that he can't get the job done as a single star and then beat him. But who knows? And that's kind of the appeal of the match, right? We don't know who's going to win, so we'll definitely be watching.
Yeah, I'll 100% watch and see um, how that match goes. I think they're probably going to add 2 or 3 more matches to Saturday night's main event, like they did for the one that was in Long Island.
Sure.
Um, so I think it's going to be a good show, another quality show from WWE. But we'll see. I think Jay and Gunther can have another great match like they had both times for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, it'll be a great match. Gunther is absolutely killing it, as is Jay Uso. Before we get into the next match, the finals for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship, there was another segment with Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross and The Miz. And we haven't really talked about Karrion Kross a whole lot these last couple weeks, but I'm really kind of digging his character. He's kind of like the devil on your shoulder, kind of saying things that are maybe true or things that somebody's insecure about, and then ends up that he's absolutely right. What do you think of Karrion Kross, the character?
I like Karrion Kross. Shout out to Karrion Kross. He follows me on Twitter, so shout out to
Nice.
him.
Hello,
Um,
Mr.
his
Cross.
his persona that they've been building, because That first run that he had on the main roster was terrible before he got released. So building up this new character and him being involved with different talent, whoever gets involved with him is never the same ever again.
Sure.
So I'm enjoying it. Like you said, the devil on the shoulders. I think his presentation has gotten better over the weeks have gone by. And with Miz being involved with him in Final Testament now too, kind of intrigued to see where that goes.
Yeah, I think the story Miz can do anything. I think he's one of the underrated stars of WWE. He can be at the top of the card, he can be at the bottom, he can be in the mid card. He will do whatever you need him to do, and he'll make it look good. And I think that's why he's had such a long career with WWE.
Yeah, he's got a almost 2 decade long career right now, and like you said, he can do whatever. He can put people over if he has to. He can work face, he can work heel. So yeah, he's their guy that they could use in the clutch if they need to use him.
Yeah, absolutely. He wears a good suit too. Big fan of suits, and Miz wears the best of them.
Hollywood. Hollywood Miz.
So following that, it was finally Lyra Valkyria versus Dakota Kai for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And this match, man, this was an incredible match. It was like an NXT takeover level match, I think. What do you think of the match between these two ladies?
They put on a show for the time that they had on there. I know international viewers got to see the entire match because they don't have commercials. And from what I heard, they were putting on good performance during the commercial break that we had here in the U.S. So the match itself was good from what I saw, but I don't expect any less from either of them.
Sure.
Dakota Kai was on her redemption journey after being injured. She has said for the longest time that she wants to hold singles gold, and she's gonna do whatever it takes to hold singles gold. Meanwhile, you got this quick riser and Lyra Valkyria coming from NXT and going on a journey, and now fighting for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, and ultimately becoming the inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champion.
Absolutely. Do you agree with the finish? It's kind of torn on Twitter. I've seen.
I just hope both sides had fun.
That's the right answer.
I didn't care. I didn't care who won that match because they both deserved it. So I just hope both sides had fun.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. I think it's great that it's crazy that we've gone from not enough women's championships and feuds to now all of a sudden within a couple months we have 2 more titles that these women can feud for. Do you think that'll add to the division, or do you think it kind of just muddies the water?
Absolutely, because they have so much women's talent now in the pool between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. The 2 new titles in there will be ultimately something for that mid card scene to fight for. Because if you're not in the main event scene, you really don't have anything going on for yourself. So now you have at least something there. With the flustering of the women's tag titles, it's like, what else were they gonna do? Stop putting people together as tag teams. You can now have them go for the United States and Intercontinental Championships.
Yeah, and I think with those 2 championships, like that's almost a guaranteed great match every week on each show, which I think that's the way to build up these championships and to build up these women wrestlers.
Yeah, 100%. Build up new contenders and build up the titles, like you said.
Yeah. Well, speaking of building somebody up, Sami Zayn got the win over The Miz. He won with the Blue Thunder Bomb. That never happens.
I was informed that he has won one match with the Blue Thunder Bomb, but I popped because you never see the Blue Thunder Bomb be used as a finisher for him.
Sure.
So it was good. He hit the haluva kick first, and then he hit the Blue Thunder Bomb to win. So I popped for it.
Do you think moving forward they're going to try to make that his finisher?
I mean, you could use the haluva kick and the Blue Thunder Bomb as finishers, so it doesn't really matter. They're both impactful. So, but I like the fact that he got a 3 count on the Blue Thunder Bomb.
Yeah, I was surprised.
I'm tired of the 2 counts.
Yes, I'm sure Sami Zayn was too. So where does this leave Sami Zayn? What do you think is next up in his future?
He's intertwined with this story with Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins still too. As it looks like he's still, because they talked about him being with the bloodline and everything still. So it looks like he's still intertwined with that story. I'm not sure where they're going to go with it though.
Do you think it's possible that Sammy could start to listen to Karrion Kross and maybe eventually turn heel?
I don't believe so because I think the ultimate end goal is going to be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn going at it, and you got to have a babyface and you got to have a heel in that. So I
Sure.
think KO is going to be the heel and Sammy's going to ultimately be the babyface in that one.
Yeah. Do you think that's happening at WrestleMania?
A possibility. There's a possibility. Like I said, we don't really know what's going on with the transfer portal. You have all these people showing up on both shows talking to the GMs, so the rosters aren't solidified yet. Once we find out who's on what show now moving forward, then I think the plans will be more solidified. If it's not KO versus Sammy at Mania, I think it'll probably be KO versus Randy at Mania.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. But it was great. It's great to see Sammy in kind of a constant role. He's kind of like the Miz. Like anything you give him, he can make work, which is great. Following that match, then we got WWE Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley, who made her entrance, and she looked like a star as well. I watched last week with my girlfriend, and she said that her favorite part of the show was seeing Rhea Ripley. What do you think of Rhea Ripley? Do you think she's kind of the star of the WWE Women's division?
When it comes to Rhea, it's a love hate relationship for me
Okay,
because she definitely has that star look, but at the same time, it's like I don't want her shoved down my throat so much
sure.
because it feels like that's what they've been doing with her since she got to the main roster. She's one of Hunter's favorites, so I have a love hate relationship when it comes to Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, they want to be careful not to go down that John Cena Roman Reigns route, right? They want fans get behind people because they want to get behind them. They don't like it when they're told who to like,
Yeah.
right?
100%, and that's what I don't want to happen. I want it to be organic. I don't want it to feel like she's getting over pushed to us. So we'll see what happens. She just got back the women's world championship, like you said. So we'll see how she's presented moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of organic, Nia Jax came out to interrupt Rhea Ripley, and she got like Dominic Mysterio New Day level booze. And I'm wondering, was that like was that character heat? Was that heel heat, or was that kind of go away Hulk Hogan heat? What do you
I
think?
think I think that was character heat. I think people because she's a heel. I think people are like you just lost your women's title last week. Why are you here? What are you doing here? Why are you coming out here to interrupt Rhea during her moment?
Yeah, that's fair. But luckily Bailey was there to make the save, and she got in the ring and interrupted the two. And Nia kind of went on the attack to Bailey, but then Rhea Ripley gave her like a cool headbutt, like Samoa
Mhm.
Joe style headbutts, and Bailey and Rhea cleared the ring of Nia.
Yep.
Do you think this was Nia moving to Raw, or do you think this is just a chance to kind of focus on the Royal Rumble and show what could happen?
When we're seeing all these talent from one show go to the other, I think it's like I said, testing the waters. They want to see what reaction they're getting on that brand before anything. But like he said in the comments, Rhea got overshadowed in that segment big time by Bailey and Nia tonight. Nia definitely came in there with a purpose. Her purpose was to shit on San Jose and shit on Bailey and tell Rhea, hey, I may have lost my title, but I'm going to win the Royal Rumble and pick whoever I want to pick. So be on the lookout. Meanwhile, Bailey said, no, 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 you're not going to come here and shit on my town like that. What do you
Right.
think you're doing here? Why are you coming in here and talking like this? She got it all up in her face, and they had their whole thing. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that, too.
What do you think about a potential Rhea Ripley versus Bailey feud? That sounds like it could be pretty great.
From Bailey appearing on Raw multiple times since this whole transfer window thing has been going. I'd like to see that happen. I feel like that would be a nice little feud for her. But first, she's got to take care of business on Friday. She's got a match on Friday for the women's title over on SmackDown. So
Yeah, that'll be a great match too. Since you brought her up, how do you feel about Tiffany Stratton? We haven't really talked about her these last couple weeks, but she is the new WWE Women's Champion. What do you think of Tiffy time?
it's Tiffy time all the time. I love Tiffany Stratton. Um, the false cash-ins were kind of getting on my nerves, but the
Sure.
way that they finally did the cash-in was worth it, and I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of
Yeah,
Tiffany.
they paid him off. I think she's going to be one of those kind of strap a rocket to her back kind of superstars, and she
Oh yeah,
deserves it. She's put in the work, and she's gotten a lot better in a short amount of time. So I'm happy for her.
me too. I truly think the sky is the limit for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of sky is the limit, New Day as bad guys, the sky is the limit for them as heels. They haven't even technically appeared on Raw yet. They appeared during the American commercial breaks, which is kind of frustrating. But they are going to be back in action next week. What do you expect from the New Day finally getting some TV time?
If it's not the New Day versus the LWO, like they've been teasing for a few weeks, I don't know what we're doing here. New Day turning heel is great and all, but you've been kind of hinting at this match for the last few weeks. If that's not the match that we're getting, not to mention Rey Mysterio and his promo talked about it, his promo during the American commercials. So if we're not getting that match sometime, then what are we doing here?
Yeah. Do you think that New Day have kind of lost some of their, not some of their edge, but some of their schritzpa, like their oomph, since they're not on TV these last couple of weeks?
I don't think so because they're still doing stuff on social media and fans see it. So I think they still have that's why the fans are still booing them. Fans do not like them. So as long as it's getting over with the live crowd, I think it's gonna get over with everybody else.
Yeah, I guess last week they did get to share the screen with Topanga and Eric Matthews, right? So that's cool.
Yeah, that was nice, and they did that whole backstage segment where Topanga said, "New, they sucks."
Man, could you imagine Topanga saying you suck? That would ruin my life.
Childhood hero for some
Yeah.
people.
First crush saying that you suck. That's my nightmare. Speaking of nightmares, it was Finn Balor's nightmare in the main event. He and Damian Priest had an amazing street fight. And I will be honest, Corey, I was not psyched about this match. I was kind of
You and a
tired
lot
of
of
this
people.
feud.
You and a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
was
people.
tired of this feud. I didn't want to see the match. I didn't think they could show me anything that they haven't shown me before. And I will eat my words. I was wrong. It was a very entertaining match.
Was good. Hmm.
Obviously highlighted by that Falcon arrow off the ledge onto a table. That was a sight to behold.
Yeah, you do that spot, and then you have Finn getting stretchered out during the commercial break, only for Damien to go beat up all of Judgment Day and push Finn back down to the ring. Yeah, it was good. It was good in my eyes. I really hope that is the end of that feud, though.
Yeah.
I hate that Finn took the pin. Damien did not need the win. Damien's beaten him already, so I don't know what the outcome is coming from that. But I think Judgment Day is not going to be very happy that Finn lost the match.
Do you think that eventually this will lead to kind of Finn being kicked out and maybe becoming a good guy again?
Yes.
I feel
Finn,
like
I think Finn is gonna get a nice little singles push in 2025. You can already feel the tension between the two sides of Judgment Day. You Finn and Liv are clashing, and then you have Liv's side and you have Finn's side. So yeah, I feel like it's gonna happen.
do you think there is still potential for Finn Balor to kind of become the guy that he was in 2016?
Time will tell because the clock is running out, and Finn has been through a lot with his injuries and whatnot. So we'll see. We'll see if Finn can get back to that same type of NXT run that he had. Um, he had that one day run as the Universal Champion, unfortunately, and he's never been the same since. I did enjoy his run that he went back to NXT.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the presentation of that, but I feel like he is due for a nice singles run on the main roster.
Yeah, I think he deserves it. I want to see Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Like there's so many matches that he can have. We need that right character. We need good
100%.
guy, good guy Finn, I think.
100%. I think we'll get it sooner than later, possibly around WrestleMania. I think we'll probably see him turn into good guy Finn again. He's kind of good guy Finn right now in a sense that he's trying to do things this way for him for the future, but
Sure.
it's clashing with all of Judgment Day. So I'm looking forward. Everything has a long term plan. I'm looking forward to seeing what the long term plan is with the dissension of Judgment Day.
Yeah, well, Judgment Day, they served their purpose. I think they were a good little group for the time that they were. But I wouldn't mind seeing all of them kind of go their separate ways now.
I feel like they'll keep some of them together just because, but I don't think we have many days left with Judgment Day.
Yeah,
I feel like we have reached our Judgment Day.
nice, nice. Well, that was the main event of Raw. Do you think that Finn Balor versus Damian Priest was a solid main event to close out the second week of Raw on Netflix?
It was better than I expected it to be, and a lot of people expected it to be. But I feel like if you were going to close the show, you probably could have had the women close the show for that historic moment.
Sure.
I think that the women's Intercontinental Championship match should have been the main event. Since you kicked off the show match wise with the Penta debut, I think the women's main event should have been the move.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to argue with that, but say la vie, we got what we got. And next week, like we mentioned, we've got New Day in action. We've also got JBL is returning after
He's
whatever
everywhere.
his indie run is.
I
What do
don't know
you
what the hell I don't know what he's doing, but he's been getting stem cell treatment and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I don't know what JBL's doing. He's got me blocked on Twitter because I said he was such a terrible announcer back in the day.
Oh
He
no.
blocked he blocked me on Twitter. So, but
Dang
yeah,
it.
well, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do in Dallas next week with him there.
Sure.
Since all he's been doing on the independent scene has pretty much been showing up where Nick Nemeth is and hitting clothesline from hell and leaving. So
Right.
we'll see what WWE has for him.
Were you said that you didn't like his announcing. Were you a fan of JBL when he was the WWE champion? Did you like that story?
Remember, that's when I got into wrestling was
Yeah,
JBL being WWE champion and feuding with John Cena. The
right.
next year, I got into it at 20. So 21 was where John Cena went in and got it. And that's where I got into it. I was a fan. I liked him. He had the Bashams in Orlando Jordan. That was a good nice little stable that they had running. So it was a good period with him as WWE champion.
Yeah, absolutely. JBL, I don't know if you know this or if any of our viewers do. JBL is kind of filling in for Bruce Pritchard on Something to Wrestle with Conrad Thompson, and he's got some pretty good stories, man. Like I've been really getting into that podcast. I listen to Bruce religiously, but JBL's got some good content.
As the co-host he is right now.
Yeah, yeah. Bruce is dealing with some family stuff or some personal stuff. So it's Conrad and JBL just sharing stories, and JBL has got a lot of stories. It's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I would believe that 100%.
So other than JBL returning and New Day, like we mentioned, Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre are facing off one more time. Do you think we could see CM Punk on commentary? It seems like that'd be a fit.
Commentary would be nice, but I think he's probably just going to be looming in the shadows there and lurking to see what
The
happens. So
Phantom of the
we'll
Opera.
see. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. That's probably going to main event next week, and
Yeah.
we'll see. We're a little under 3 weeks away from the Royal Rumble now, so I think we're going to get more of a build towards the Rumble with that match also.
Yeah, absolutely. I, for one, am probably looking forward to this Royal Rumble more than I have maybe the last decade, because you kind of figure the last couple years probably going to be Cody Rhodes. Before that, I don't even remember, but Brock Lesnar, I think, won one. Drew McIntyre won one. But this is one Royal Rumble where we really don't know who could win. And I
I
think
have an
that's
idea, but like you said, it's unpredictable right now with all the names that are already entered into it. So it's going to be interesting the next 3 weeks to find out how many surprise entrants we're going to have in that match. So
Yeah, absolutely, Corey. Well, thank you so much for joining me once again. Guys, thank you for tuning in and watching Raw Dogs. Corey, is there anything you want to plug, anything coming up that you want people to know about?
Before I plug anything, let me go through these comments real quick.
Sure.
Gabriel, I'm not sure about the Y6 and Final Testament being over because Karrion Cross was kind of pissed off at Miz tonight about it. So we'll see. Key said Penta for world title immediately. Put him in that world title picture. Have him feud with Gunther and have them have a
I did
chop
love
off because those chop. Gunther said the hardest chop that he's ever felt was from Penta, and he
that.
bled immediately. So we'll see. J Kid said talking to you said Batman fan. And it said Gotham
Yes.
needs you, Bruce. He said give him a hell yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess you can kind of tell between the shirts and all the artwork back there. Yeah, I'm a man child, and I'm not afraid to admit it.
Yeah, then what else? Let's see. We talked about Nia and Bailey already and Rhea. Liv Dom Keller playing Finn like a fiddle. I think it's going both ways, Key. I think both sides are playing each other at that moment.
Sure.
I think Liv is not very happy with Dom at the moment, so we'll see what happens there. Uh, appreciate that, Jay. This is a great show. Shen, be the friend. Yep, be the friend. And the women's rumble build is pissing me off. Only Nia's declared. I think we'll get a lot more in the next week or so. I just think that the men had to get those big names in there first, but the women, the division is so deep. We're gonna get some NXT names in there. I think it's gonna be a good build going towards the women's Rumble key.
Do you think that this year's Royal Rumble could be where the Bella Twins return?
I don't see the Bella Twins returning as
Okay.
a duo. If I see one of them returning, it'll probably be a surprise from Nikki,
Sure.
because she was there last week. I didn't expect to see Nikki there.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to see that, honestly, due to everything that went down when they left the company and bad mouthing the company. So um, you can burn your bridges, I guess, but then time heals all wounds, I guess is the saying. So yeah,
No.
I could potentially see Nikki Bella being in the Rumble. I see fans have asked for her, so maybe we could see that. They're definitely gonna have some surprises in there. So I was at the Rumble last year in St. Pete at the Trop, and it was fun. It just felt flat.
Sure.
The whole show felt flat. So I think this year with them announcing these big names early, and they've sold over 50,000 tickets already. I think we're good.
Yeah, I agree. I think it will be really exciting. Kia said, "Good night, Corey. Get better at TMB." What's TMB?
I know what that is.
Okay, a little inside joke. That's totally okay. Well, thank you guys for joining us on Raw Dogs, a bodyslam.net post show. Corey, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Facebook with my same name. You find me on Twitter, Corey_Hayes407. The same on Instagram and same on Twitch.
Awesome. Twitch, we're gonna maybe watch the Rumble with you on Twitch if you decide to do that. I am Nick Perkins. I'm on Twitter/X at Western Rebel. Give me a follow. But otherwise, we will see you guys next week. Thank you for joining us.
We'll be back for Raw Dogging It again next week, guys.
Raw Dog it so deep next week. Bye, guys.